the crazy thing was my ego was in the way because I'm on my older motorcycle and I'm having great fellowship with these guys that I'm riding with, these folks that I was riding with. And the quality of fellowship hadn't changed one iota. My perspective, my perception of the quality of fellowship was being blocked by my ego that said, if they saw you on this brand new one,
they'll think this about you.
They'll think this. They were already thinking good thoughts about me. I was already having the feeling that motorcycles, but I was willing to pay an extra $15,000, downgrade my experience so I could upgrade my ego.
The look versus the... What's happening, y'all? This is Mike D with Black Fathers Now, where we're bringing the village to the brothers. Every couple of weeks, you can look forward to a quick inspirational message or a thought-provoking guest with knowledge and wisdom, all geared towards helping you be the best father that you can be. We're bringing the village to you. Now it's your turn to do something with what you learned. All right, y'all. Let's go. Please enjoy part 2 of my dynamic conversation with Hallerin Hilton Hill. If you've not already done so, go back and listen to episode 190. Literally, you want to hear episode 190 because, again, he brings the heat.
Give yourself permission to grow, right? The work that I've been doing in positive psychology really is positive psychology differentiates itself from general psychology. General psychology really is the study of dysfunction.
Yes.
I mean, right? And trying to figure out how to get you past those. Positive psychology is the psychological science of well-being. Does well-being have an algorithm? Does well-being have a psychological science? And what we've learned about the brain in the last decade and a half is unbelievable. That one phrase, neuroplasticity.
Yes.
The ability of the mind to adapt, right, to experience is amazing. Neuroplasticity implies that the brain can be rewired. One of the phrases that I've coined in the book and the work is this: you are where you are because of your mindset, and you will be where you end up because of your mindset. And here's the secret: it's your mind to set. Right?
I love it.
And you set it through your habitual, persistent thinking. The patterns that you think in, the patterns become pathways. The pathways turn into sets or mindsets, right? They become the, and I think most people don't believe they can grow. Neuroplasticity confirms that the brain you're born with isn't the one you're stuck with.
That's right.
It can grow, it can change. You have to give yourself permission to change, to become the man that you've been called to be, right? But here's what you have to ready yourself for. And it's a question I just wrote in my notes this morning as I was thinking. Three questions. One is, what are you full of? What are you full of? Because whatever you're full of is going to give energy to what you become.
Absolutely.
So if you're full of fear, self-doubt, whatever, if that's what you're full of, if you're full of anger, rage, whatever, that really will affect how you go and how you grow. But these were the two questions that I just had to sit with this morning. 2, are you ready for the reaction to the new you?
Woo! Are you ready for the reaction? Man, that in itself is worth hours of unpacking, because when you think about the new you and the reaction to the new you, not always from everybody else, but just from yourself, just looking in the mirror and realizing and coming to grips with, this is me now. Are you ready for that reaction? That's such a deep, that's so deep, because you build up this persona of yourself to yourself, meaning this is what I expect of myself. This is what I recognize about my capabilities. But in turn, the outside world, your connections, your circle, your community, your village, your network, they also build up a level of expectation about you, right? So when you now walk into this room as a totally different character, are you ready for them to be like, whoa, 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 this is not the Hallerin Hilton Hill that I'm used to hearing on the radio. This is not Mr. Anything is Possible. This is not, what do you think and why do you think it? Whoa, this is not the brother who allows people to talk and kind of go left, but still brings it back home and doesn't get super hot on the radio. And this is not, it's a different brother here. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Right.
That's deep.
The third question is right connected to that, which is, or was today, are you ready for the violent reaction that the old you will have to the new you?
Ooh, that fight, man. The old you is, because you think about this, it's kind of like, it's like when you establish yourself, right? When you establish a territory, right? And you're fighting against this change. It's like we're not fighting, even like from a biblical perspective, we're not fighting for success. We're fighting from success. You know what I'm saying? Because
right.
And that's the thing, to your point. It's like the old you is here. It's established. Your routines are set. You've dug in, your heels are dug in. But now this new thing steps in. It's like a new sheriff on the block. So now there's going to be a conflict. There's going to be a duel with the sheriffs.
Right. And if you could imagine this new you, and if you can imagine the resistance, then if you know there's going to be resistance, the resistance doesn't have to undo you as you're making that evolution, right?
But I guess my thoughts are, you also have to come with courage and confidence, right? Because if you know there's going to be resistance, right, you have to pull from something to meet that resistance. And I use courage and confidence a lot, because courage is in spite of, confidence is because of, right? And so when you're facing some challenge or some resistance that look, I know I'm going to hit a wall at I know I'm going to hit a wall at some point. I have to pull from something to give me what's necessary to overcome that wall. And so courage is, in spite of the challenge that's coming, I'm going to mount up and make it happen. Or confidence is, I can pull back on history, something that I've overcome before, and use that as fuel to guide me through this challenge or this struggle. And I think a lot of people struggle with either not having or having a lack of courage or lack of confidence. That's why if they know there's an obstacle coming, they're going to say, you know what, I don't even think I'm walking down this street, because I know there's going to be some resistance. I don't have the courage and the confidence, so I'm just going to stay where I am. And we sit tight for the next decade, woulda, shoulda, couldas.
Right. I want to make sure that I let you do some rapid fire with me, and ask me whatever questions before I have to get away here. I think as we're becoming the men that we've been called to be, the one concept that I always like to put on there, because you need to allow yourself time to develop, space to develop for yourself. The situations that you've been through in your life, based on your perspective and framing, will either define you or refine you. Right? They'll either define or refine you. So when you have the mindset that all things work together for good, you can reframe And you can use those fires that you've been through as refining fires as opposed to defining fires. Right? I went to prison, I had a bad marriage, I messed up with this. That's not the definition of who I am. That's what refined me so that I could become, right, just that thought. And so I think when you think about power in your life, every man is called to have a certain amount of influence and to be a leader. And to be a leader is really to be a servant. So I say we move from power trips, where we're trying to acquire power because we feel powerless. When you're connected to the divine, you have power, right? And you don't have to possess the power itself. What you possess is the connection to the power. Because if I try to possess the power itself, I can only have as much power as my container will allow.
Ooh, that's deep. That's deep.
But if I'm connected to the power, there's no limit to how much power I have access to. So if I move from a mindset of containing to connection, if that makes sense to you, then that's a different thing. So instead of me trying to acquire and hold power, I move from power trips to what I call power strips. So we move from the acquisition of power to the distribution of power, right? So if you think of a power strip, all these different things are plugged into it, but it cannot provide power unless it is plugged into something, right?
That's deep.
So a great father, realizing that his children are plugged into him, realizes that part of the way that he distributes power through his generations is based on his connection. So he does the things that keep him connected. Mind, body, and spirit. Finance. He stays plugged in. He has these, what I call refined rituals of reset that allow him to stay connected and charged up so that the people that are connected to him get the flow of that. And he's not obstructing, but he's actually adding to. And I didn't realize that taking care of myself was taking care of them.
Yes, because they're connected to you.
Right.
Man, I'm going to tell you, when you're talking, I feel such a kindredness between your story, how you communicate, and what you're talking about, because I refer to myself as a tube, not a vessel, right? Because the thing is, with a vessel, people say my cup runneth over. The thing is, what's inside the vessel doesn't get out unless it's either poured out or kicked over. Whereas if I'm a tube and not a vessel, there's two components here. First off, I don't have a bottom, meaning what comes in flows out. But then the other part to it is I have to have enough faith that the faucet's never going to get turned off. So that's a faith walk on one end, but then that's also a faith walk on the other end, because I'm not concerned with holding on to it, like you say, because as a vessel, I'm limited by the size of my vessel, and what's inside that vessel cannot get to the intended target unless somebody kicks it over or unless I have to pour it out. And so you're speaking so much here. And fellas, I hope y'all power strip, not a power trip. Think about that. Start to think about yourself. If you start to think about yourself there, in which your kids and your circle of influence and those that you have influence over or influence on or are connected to you, you stay connected to the real power source, the creator, and allow that to flow through you, then it's not about holding on to the power. You want to disperse that power.
I want to say one other thing, man. And thank you for letting me. I know this maybe didn't go.
I love it. No, brother, I love it. This is, man, I'm loving this, man. This is going to help a lot of people.
The other thing that I wanted to say is, I needed to kill my ego around fatherhood.
Mm.
And this is probably, this may be too real, but I wanted to be known as a good father.
Mm.
And I'm not sure that good fathers want to be known as a good father. I think they want to be good fathers.
Mm.
I wanted to be acknowledged as that guy, as a father. I think that's why early on I was seduced by being a provider.
Mm.
The accoutrements of, man, his kids drive nice cars, they go to school, they live in a nice neighborhood, wow, he really takes care of his family. He does a good job. Your kids don't give a damn about that if you're not present. And they know when you're virtue signaling.
Mm.
Oh, my son's a doctor, my daughter's a this. They realize that's about your pride.
Mm.
Like, you're using their life as a validation of your worth.
Mm.
I'm a good guy because my kids turned out that way. And so they realize that you're not proud of them. You're proud of how they make you look.
Ooh. Fellas, think about that. Is it you, or are you trying to live vicariously through your kids so that you can get the admiration, whatever it is that you're looking to do? I want to be known as the one who raised multiple doctors, because that lets everybody know that I did a good job. It ain't about you. You're the tube. You're the power strip. It's flowing through you. Man, the death of the ego of the dad. And I'm going to be honest with you, man, that's something that a lot of us really have to come to grips with, because if you're doing it for the likes, if you're doing it for the, it's kind of like you're doing it for the gram, right? If you're doing it for all of those things, you're doing it for the admiration, to be completely honest, you're really not doing it for the right reason.
Right.
And that's a challenge, because we all want to feel like we're making an impact, right? But we have to make sure to realize that we're not doing it for the reaction, because the challenge then comes, what happens if you don't get the reaction that you intend?
Bingo.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Right. You talked a little bit about your story in a sense that you grew up and became a person who did not need outside validation. And that is something that we need to build into who we are so that we can walk in purpose and not feel validated or invalidated by someone else's comments or perspectives or perceptions of who you are. Because a lot of people are going to come and they don't always have the right intentions. And so, to your point, having that is a superpower that some of us have to work on building so that we can be internally fulfilled and joyful versus seeking that in outside forces.
Right. I love the affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
But I rely on God for the validation.
Ooh, man.
I want people to go, man, you're a good guy. You've done. I want to be positive, and I like receiving that positive energy, and I think we all need that.
Yes.
But the manipulation that comes when you're addicted to affirmation is, if you withdraw that affirmation from me, does that take me off mission? Right? Does that, like, if you say, well, I'm going to stop giving you that affirmation, I'm still going to try to be good to my kids and take care of them. Okay. Track that. I know this is who I am and this is what I'm supposed to do. That's the subtle distinction there.
I got a question for you then. I mean, and this is maybe something I think that can help a lot of the brothers listening. If you know that you're a person and you've come to that realization, I look in the mirror and it's like, I need this affirmation to feel good about myself, or I bought this car so that everybody says, oh, you're doing the doggone thing, or I'm in this neighborhood or doing what I'm doing to kind of floss, so to speak. How can we break that cycle, or what would you suggest to brothers who have come to grips with, that's a challenge that I have to overcome? How do they break that cycle?
I think it really comes from spending time with yourself. I mean, to ask yourself, what are you thinking? Why Why do you think it? Like getting down to your why. Um, I think one of the ways that you begin to break it, for me, I started to ask myself, are you really enjoying it?
Wow, that's deep.
Right? Are you really finding joy in this? Are you really, or is the joy from the affirmation of it? Like, is that where the joy is, that somebody sees you and they show you a certain level of respect or whatever? What it opened up to me was, man, in friendships and relationships, it's really important to you to be in friendships and relationships where you receive the quality of affirmation that you're seeking through these other things. So it really made me unpack the quality of my friendships. And I realized that, for instance, my best buddy is John Wright. We sit in folding chairs at the front of his garage and listen to 70s and 80s music, and we'll sit there for a couple of hours just talking. I would never just be intentional about spending that time with my best buddy. But I get a mega dose of the kind of affirmation that I'm microdosing through cars and this. Really, because it's not the car. It's not the thing. It's the reaction to the thing that affirms me. Right? So if I recognize that, it does a couple of things for me. Number one is, I love cars. Now, I actually enjoy driving my car.
That's where I was going to go there. Is it the react? Because we have to separate or have discernment in the sense of if you're doing it because of the reaction to the car, or if it's like, I really find joy in driving this car, hitting curves and going on long drives. And if you find joy in it, then forget it. I don't care what you think.
Yes.
Yes.
See, I am a lover of beauty and excellence, design and craft. I really do. First of all, so doing that exercise also allowed me to legitimize my love of cars. I love everything about design and all of that stuff. So now as I'm driving the car that I have right now that I really like, I really enjoy driving it every day. I just enjoy it. The same thing is true. I ride motorcycles, and good Lord, I love motorcycles. And I have an older motorcycle. And I went to the dealership, and I was going to buy a brand new motorcycle because the new one has all of the latest electronic, all of this other stuff. And so I ride my motorcycle over to the dealership. I go on a test drive of the new motorcycle, and I'm riding the motorcycle. Man, this thing is nice, it's fine, it's whatever. And I go there, and I'm just going to buy the motorcycle. And for whatever reason, their system was down. So I'm like, I just want to, let's just do the transaction now. And so the guy was like, okay, what do you want to do? I said, you know what? Just put it on this American Express, and let's just do the transaction, and I'll do this. I'll take care of this end of the month. So their system was down. So he's like, man, our system's down. We'll have everything ready for you on Monday. You want to keep the bike? And I said, no, I'll just ride my bike home. I'll bring it back. I'll trade it in. We'll do it on Monday. And I'm riding my motorcycle back to the house, and man, my bike it felt better.
Wow.
Than the new one, right? I'm riding my bike, and it feels, but I'm having the feeling that motorcycles have given me since I was 7 years old. I'm having the feeling of freedom and joy and this whole thing that goes on when I get on two wheels. And I'm riding and I'm going, Alan, why do you want the new motorcycle if you're having an equivalent or better experience? And the reason I wanted the new motorcycle was simply this. I had gone out riding with a bunch of people, and my motorcycle was the oldest motorcycle in the pack. and I liked the way I looked. I liked the way I looked on the newer motorcycle, but I liked the way I felt.
That's it. I knew, man.
So, and the crazy thing was, my ego was in the way because I'm on my older motorcycle and I'm having great fellowship with these guys that I'm riding with, these folks that I was riding with, and the quality of fellowship hadn't changed one iota. My perspective, my perception of the quality of fellowship was being blocked by my ego that said, if they saw you on this brand new one,
they'll think this about you.
They'll think this. They were already thinking good thoughts about me. I was already having the feeling that motorcycles, but I was willing to pay an extra $15,000, downgrade my experience so I could upgrade my ego.
The look versus the experience was tainted by the ego. Man, can I? Literally, the look versus the feeling. And if you get the feeling and you're doing it from an internal place, who cares? Whether it's a 30-year-old bike or a brand new one, if you were getting the new one because that feeling you got and you're doing it because of something that really is driven internally by you, get the new one. But since it wasn't, but there's a but. Well, BBD said never trust a big butt and a smile. This is a but you need to you need to consider. But when you really thought about it, and again, divine intervention. I'm like, the Lord works in mysterious ways or ways that ain't so mysterious. The system was down, so you could not purchase the bike that day. Had the system been up and running, the next group, you'd have been looking for that ride because you'd have had that brand new bike to go take out with everybody else. And man,
So as a father,
yes,
right,
brother, fellas, I want that's that in itself. Think about your experience. Think about being internally driven in regards to your joy, your interest, your what you're focused on. Be internally driven. Don't get so focused on outside affirmation, because the outside affirmation, if you need that to validate you, you're going to be seeking validation continuously. So go internal, go inside out, not outside in. Like that, in essence, is what we need to do. And I don't want to hold you too much longer, because brother, I could legitimately talk to you for hours. But I know we got things to do. But you dropped something, and I want to ask one more question. Before we get your contact information and all of that, you mentioned something about refined rituals of reset, right? And so you said that a few minutes ago. I would like to ask you, what are your refined rituals of reset so that you can stay grounded and keep yourself in this frame of mind as you grow and evolve continuously throughout life?
Yeah. So the first thing that we're learning in positive psychology is one of the things that you want to take responsibility and ownership of is the energy in which you live. Right. So when I tell people I tell people two things, or I call people to two things. One is to enjoy your life, and then to enjoy your work. I love words. I like prefixes, because prefixes fix a word, right? They update. And so when you have the word enjoy, it has two pieces. The prefix en means to make, cause, or create. So if I ask you to enjoy your work, that is the same root for engineer, encourage, endure. That in or en means to make or cause. So there's a shift that happens in your life when you move from happenstance. I'm going to hope that something happens to me or for me, and the happenstance is what makes you happy, right? To being an architect, that makes or causes or creates joy. Joy is a sense of overall well-being. That even though it may not be everything on the outside may not be going well. The inside is settled. It is well with my soul, right?
That's right.
And I'm optimistic because of where I am and who I am. So there is the fount of optimism. There's a flame of optimism, if you will, that is rooted in a deep sense of knowing who and what you are, right? And whose you are, right? So I like to say it's like having the pilot light on, even if there's no fire on the stove.
That's right.
It is cast iron hope,
That's right.
So when we decide to enjoy our lives, we've made a decision to be proactive in creating and sustaining joy. And joy really is rooted in having an overall positive patina to your life. So we create it. And one of the ways that we set ourselves up, mind, body, and spirit, for that is by having a mindset or rituals that generate the positive emotion that you will live in or live with, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right? And so just a couple of quick things. Number one, I recommend having a morning ritual that puts you in the ready state for the day. And the components of readiness, the question you ask yourself is, what does ready feel like and what does ready look like? If I were to walk into my day feeling ready for the day, mind, body, and spirit, what does ready look and feel like? Most people have never taken the time to just stop and go, what does ready feel like? What would it feel like to feel positive and to feel normal? They just kind of go from day to day, from drama to drama, from stress to stress, but they never have a settled sense. They don't ever have a baseline of joy. So they don't have anything to check against either. But if drama is your set point, then you never know what wholeness feels like. But if you get to wholeness, then you have something to check against. So it took me, and I would express to everybody that's kind of taking this in, that you take some time, and it might take you weeks, it might take you days, just to make an assessment of what ready looks and feels like.
Yes.
Because your job will be, if you can say, if I were to imagine an excellent day in my life, right? If I were to imagine an excellent day in my life, top to bottom, what would that look and feel like? How am I feeling? What's the environment like? What kind of people are around me? What does that energy feel like? If I were to imagine that, what does that look like? If you put that down on paper, if you write out that day in your life, then the next job is to reverse engineer what brings you to that state. What does my mind feel like? What does my body feel like? What does my spirit feel like? Your job is not to copy and paste my morning ritual. Your job is to engineer the one that delivers on ready for you. Right? What brings you to where you need to be, the way you need to show up. And that requires that thing we were talking about earlier, enough self-reflection to really get to know you.
What does ready look like?
So my morning ritual, because I'm trying to create or generate this positive emotion in my life, my morning ritual revolves around me getting up really early in the morning, so I have space. I have a buffer before I engage my family and engage the world. I need some time. I need a little time to kind of get into my space. So I do something that is called 5-5-5.
Okay.
Right? 5-5-5. So one of the things I do is I write in a gratitude journal every morning.
Okay.
So gratitude journaling is a way to generate positive emotions. Scientifically proven to generate positive emotions. You write down 3 things for which you're grateful every day. Right at the top of the day, 3 things for which you're grateful. After you write down 3 things for which you're grateful, you write down 3 things that I will do or what would make the day great. Right? The science of that, this is all about wiring too. This is about wiring the brain. But the science of it is this. We are what Martin Seligman at Penn says, we are not Homo sapiens, sapien being wise. We're Homo prospectus. We're prospecting. We're prospecting for what we're expecting.
Ooh. Prospecting for what we're expecting.
Right. If your expectation is negative, then you will prospect to affirm or confirm that experience. So
that's deep. That's deep, brother.
So what we found happens is when people don't feel a sense of agency, when they don't feel within themselves that anything that they could actively do would make a difference in their outcomes, they start to feel helpless, right? If there is a learned helplessness, and learned helplessness always corrodes into hopelessness.
Ooh, right? Learned helplessness corrodes into hopelessness.
Right. So when a man is hopeless, then he's not gonna. So what happens is when you start to write what you will do to make the day great, you're wiring into your mind that you fully expect to have an impact on the quality of your day.
Expectation.
You're wiring that I make things happen, right? I make things happen. Then you write down a declaratory phrase, I am something. Present tense. I have a little note card that I keep over here on the whiteboard.
Okay.
That's one of my expressions that I wrote down in my journal. This was one of my I am cards, right? And what it says is, I am free, blessed, safe, saved, attracting and creating abundance in every aspect of my life. That's who I am. Because it puts you on the path to look for those things, right?
Yes.
So you write down an I am phrase. And then at the end of the night, before you go to bed, you grab your journal, and it's best to write this down, and you write down 3 amazing things that happened today. And it doesn't have to be positive to be amazing. It just has to be amazing, because most people have learned their best lessons through their worst times, right? But once again, this is about how you frame your life, because how you frame your life is how you see your life.
Don't gloss over that. How you frame your life is how you see your life.
Absolutely. 100%.
That's deep. Fellas, pay attention. Don't let that slip. How you frame your life is how you see your life. Think about a picture frame. That's what you see.
When you get to the point where you go, things don't happen to me, they happen for me. It's a whole different ballgame. But when you write down 3 amazing things that happen to you every day, what you're doing is you're journaling against the resistance. And let me explain what I mean by that. Your mind will tell you, man, life sucks. This is not going my way, blah, blah, blah. Let the record reflect that something happens amazing to me every day. Once again, you're wiring into your brain that something amazing is going to happen to or for me today. You're wiring the fact that I can take whatever happens to me and make it amazing, which reaffirms this sense of agency that you have. as you do that on a habitual basis, you start to rewire the brain so that when you wake up in the morning, and it takes about 67 days for the momentum of this to actually start to wire in your brain. But you'll find yourself after about 60 or 70 days, you'll wake up in the morning and the energy you're going to feel is going to shift because you'll be on the hunt for things for which to be grateful. You will be anticipating making something happen. Affirm it at the end of the day. So I do this thing, gratitude journaling, and then I do what I call 5-5-5. 15 minutes is literally 1% of your day. I call it the 1% solution, but 15 minutes is 1% of your day. 5 minutes reading something positive and powerful. Something positive and powerful. I love the book of Proverbs.
Yes, I do too.
Something positive and powerful. 5 minutes sitting in silence, meditating, just listening, maybe even just listening to your breath, but just slowing down long enough to listen, just to be present. Nothing profound has to happen. Maybe the only thing you'll experience or hear is the noisiness of your own mind.
That's real.
Right?
That's real.
But just you awakening to the noise, just you being able to separate yourself from yourself for 5 minutes even, awakens you to the noise, and there's a shift that happens just in the level of the way you perceive yourself and perceive life. And then the last 5 minutes I spend slowly walking through the petitions of the Lord's Prayer. This self-emptying, empowering prayer in this regard. The very first word, and this will especially apply to fathers, the very first word of the Lord's Prayer is our.
Our. That's right.
So all the selfishness gets dumped out. Immediately it brings you into being my brother, my sister.
It connects us.
First of all, it forces you to acknowledge the infinite and that there's a greater will than your own. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. In heaven, there's no resistance to the will of God.
That's right.
No committees. Your will be done. And then you go, give us this day our daily bread. I parked there for 90 seconds or 60 seconds or 45 seconds. And I asked God to meet the provisional needs of my life. Give us, though. Would you give us what we need? Would you give us, me and my kids and the people that you've given to me, this world of us that you've given me, would you give me not only what I know I need, but would you meet the needs that I don't have sense enough to ask for? Give us this day our daily bread. So we will need things in the temporal realm today, money, food. Give us what we need. Then this liberational part of the prayer where it says, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. That's the point where I stop and I say, God, I need you to forgive me for blah, blah, blah. These are the known things. Would you forgive me for those? But then the things that I don't know. And he goes, absolutely. But I'm going to need you to know the liberty of forgiveness. So that's where I press the clear button on all my relationships and all my whatever. So grudges are heavy.
Yes, they are. Like an albatross. Yes.
So I get to empty out that right there. So I go, God, help me to forgive. The person that said that crazy thing to me yesterday, would you just let me lay that down? Then I go, lead us not into temptation. I start there and I go, I got some temptations today.
That's it.
I'm fasting today and I'm smelling waffle fries everywhere.
What they say, the Lord is my shepherd. He know what I want.
Right.
Help your boy out.
So I would also add that I chop this off. It says, lead us not into temptation. I pray for all the temptations that my kids are facing.
Yes.
that I don't know about. But I know I gave some of it to them through DNA.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's there.
Got histories that I gave them, right?
It's there. Mm-hmm.
I say, lead us not into temptation, but then I chop it off and I just go, would you just lead us? Would you give me the magnetic pull? Like, would you lasso my heart and lead me to where you want me to be, right?
Yes.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, and all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct or lead. Instead of the Black Fathers Matter, I'm going to wear the reading t-shirt today.
He led it.
Yes. So I want to feel the tug of your leading in my life today. I want to feel this present tugging, right? Let me feel your presence shaping me. I want to feel the energy of being shaped and led by you, and then deliver us from evil. I stop right there and I go, God, there's evil in the world. I'm looking at all this craziness that's going on in the world. Would you deliver me? In other words, if I'm in a burning house, I've passed out because of the smoke, I've lost my capacity to dial 911. I need somebody to see the flames, kick the door in, and drag me.
Get me. That's right.
So God, when I'm in a blind spot today, would you deliver me from evil? So I'll spend 5 minutes just kind of slowly walking through that prayer, parking in those parking spaces for a moment, unpacking those things. And in that 15 minutes, that's what I've done for my spirit.
Yes.
Gratitude journaling is what I've done for my mind. And now the next thing I got to do is I got to go get some exercise. I got to get it in. I got to get it in. I got to give my body what it needs in terms of nutrition and exercise, so that my physical body is awake and flexible and my mind is snapping on all the cylinders. I've given my brain the brain food of gratitude, if you will, that's generating the positive emotions I want to start my day in, right? But then I'm giving my spirit that 555 so that it's nourished. And then the final thing that I do is I look at my list of things to do, and I compare my list of things to do to the goals that I've set for the year and the quarter. And I ask myself, am I still on track? Am I still pacing the way that I need to pace in order to accomplish what I have to accomplish? And when I look at my calendar, right, am I on point for all of the things that I need to do today? Right? Am I prepared for the meeting at 10 o'clock? Am I prepared for am I prepared? Because that gives me a sense of swagalicious readiness. Yes. When I know that I'm going to walk into the meeting at 11 and I know Bob's going to ask me about the spreadsheet and I know I'm prepared. I feel ready. I feel ready. So that's that's one of the things that I say is having this really well-defined and designed morning ritual that puts you in the ready state. So you don't feel like you're behind the 8 ball mentally, physically, spiritually, and professionally. You walk out the door with,
you're ready. Look, fellas, pay attention to Hallerin Hilton Hill's refined rituals of reset. This is what he's put together to help define who he is and refine who he is continuously. And there are 3 components to this: gratitude journaling. And he walked through the steps of doing so. Gratitude journaling, the 555, where 5 minutes of reading something positive, 5 minutes of meditation, sitting in silence, and then 5 minutes of slowly walking through the Lord's prayer and parking at specific points that resonate. Right? Think about that. Again, number 1, gratitude. Number 2, the 555, and then the 3 is exercise: mind, body, spirit. And he talked about the concept of positive psychology. What's interesting about mind, with your mindset, your body, in essence, is wired to give your mind what it wants. So people talk about the law of attraction and all of these different things. there's something to it. But from a psychological perspective, you're talking about that they're creating the mindset in which everything else is giving your mind what it wants. There's something to it. Spiritual growth and development. I'm a firm believer that spiritual conviction leads to mental commitment. Mental commitment leads to taking action. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
And so if you really stop and think about that on this level, and then you start taking action with this particular mindset, with this spiritual conviction, but then you're walking in purpose with your exercise so that your temple is right. You're putting the right stuff in there to fuel your body right. Then, man, you talking about being ready? You better tell folks to get out the way. So, so man, look, I don't want to keep you much longer, and and I appreciate you, brother, because this has been an enlightening experience for me, the brothers, the ladies listening too, because they tune into what we're talking about. This has been something that I believe there's so many gems, so many carve outs, so many nuggets of wisdom that we can take and apply to our life right now, because this is Black Fathers Now. I guess as we leave, man, is there anything else you'd like to leave with the Black Fathers Now community, one, but then two, how can individuals listening connect with you, learn more about you, see some of the stuff that you have going on? Give anything that you want to promote, man, throw it out there, brother.
Well, I got a book coming top of the year called Joy 101, and there will be an online course you can take with that, and we'll be doing some live experiences around that. There's going to be some music that's associated with it as well. So I'm excited that I'm working on that. And I'll make sure that I update you. I don't do a lot of social media, so that's a whole other conversation. But I'm not on the gram much. I'm on Twitter rarely. I'm not doing Facebook at all. So I don't have a lot of contact information to give you. I know.
Is there a website or something that people can go and kind of check your stuff out, or what?
Not really. My website sucks.
Okay.
So, but HallerinHill.com will be updated soon. But I wouldn't give. I'm a guy who's about quality and excellence, and it ain't there, but it will get there. It will get there soon enough. So I'm iterating as we speak. But be on the lookout for Joy 101 top of the year. I'm really excited about the transformational impact of that work.
Most definitely, man. And we'll make sure to have that information in the show notes. And, you know, again, like you said, he's not really active on social media, but we're going to put some information out there just in case people want to kind of scan through and take a look at you and all of that stuff. And, you know, we're going to put some information out there so that people can, you know, at least see a little bit more about what you have going on. What now is the radio show only available in the local Knoxville area, or is there like an application?
Listen online. Yeah, you can listen online on all the platforms. You can download our app, News Talk 98.7. App on Apple and Android. We're available on Alexa if you enable the News Talk 987 skill. We're available online, newstalk987.com.
Okay.
So I'm on every day from 3 to 7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
I have a television show on weekends on WBIR Channel 10 at 11 o'clock. It's called Anything is Possible in the Knoxville market. We also post on YouTube and Facebook the episodes every week. And then Monday night at 9 on 10 News 2, which is a Comcast cable channel here in Knoxville. We're looking to expand that brand in the next year too, so we'll be going out a little bit further. So we're in the lab right now.
I feel you. Look, I'm the same way, brother. In the lab. But we'll make sure to put the link to the app in the show notes for News Talk 98.7. So wherever you are around the world, if you want to, get a listen to what the brother talks about on the radio, y'all can check him out, listen in, because he has some interesting conversations with some interesting some callers that are pretty doggone interesting. So it's
love the way you're framing that.
Yeah, I say interesting for me. and that literally goes back to, you can see how the brother has to stay grounded with some of the conversations and callers that he has to deal with. But again, another conversation. So we'll put some of the information in the show notes so that, brothers and ladies listening to can reach out and learn more about who you are and what you have going on. Because after hearing this, I believe there are going to be a lot of folks that are like, if I haven't heard about this brother already, I need to find out more about him. So I thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, man. Hey, fellas, as always, make sure to follow Black Fathers Now on all social media outlets. Visit blackfathersnow.com. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Subscribe, share this thing out, leave some ratings, and make sure to look up Hallerin Hilton Heal. He's got a new book coming out, Joy 101, coming at the top of the year in 2021. So be on the lookout for that, as well as check out his radio show. You can download the News Talk 98.7 app on your Android or Apple podcast or Apple phone, and, subscribe, leave some ratings. Holler at him if you can get in touch with him on social media. Like you said, he's not overly active there. But and if you do, let him know that you heard about him on Black Fathers Now and heard about his story, his journey, his amazing insight that was garnered from his father and how that's played into his life. Just let him know about that stuff, man. And, we salute you for spending time with us, my brother. And thank you so much. And fellas, y'all be blessed, well, and wise. And we'll holler at you. Peace.
See you.
Yo, fellas, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And always visit blackfathersnow.com, as well as follow Black Fathers Now on virtually every social media platform you can think of. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. Just follow us and engage with us, man. Look forward to hearing from you. And I guess until next time, I'll holler at you. Peace.